It was originally arranged for £8 million, wasn't it? But it got to take down to £5.5 million because of his injury, didn't it?
Yeah. So he, I think he was really pumped up for that football, obviously, but he was really wanting to impress Lazio, where he was off to, and he just lost his head. It's as simple as that, really. It was a crying shame because he'd been such an amazing player for them throughout that.
Well, I don't think there was any malice there. He went for the ball
throughout that tournament, for the cup. He'd scored so many goals on the way there. The final should have been his showpiece. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So he spent pretty much the next season in the treatment room. He finally joined Lazio for a fee of £5.5 million, and no sooner he was there than he was offending people. I don't know if you remember when he was asked for a comment, as it was just after he arrived, I think, and he burped quite loudly into the TV microphone, and that was really, really frowned upon in Italy. Like a lot of people, he just arrived, and it was Paul, what's it like to be in Italy? And it really annoyed them.
I really like the rendition you did.
Thank you very much.
It really took me there.
Yeah. My Italian was seamless. Yeah. They were really pissed off. He got off on the wrong foot with them terribly.
It's almost good as Pete's Bill Shankly.
Yeah,
Bill Shankly channeled through George Best.
And he was fined £9,000 for that. So really? Straight away, bang.
He's £9,000 down.
So. In his first season for Lazio, he's a little bit inconsistent, but he scored his first goal for them in the 89th minute to equalise in the Rome derby.
Yeah, that's why he's still revered now.
Yeah.
They love him there.
The fans loved him, but the media seemed to just not like him.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. He went mental when he scored that goal. It was fantastic. He said it's one of the highlights of his career. Fabulous.
He hurt himself trying to tackle Nesta, wasn't it? Alessandro Nesta.
Yeah, he broke his cheekbone as well.
Yeah, so he played with that cheekbone mask, didn't he? Like the Phantom of the Opera.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very iconic Gazza image, that. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, big time. Well, he did play really well when he was there for moments, and he was given something. Now, I've read Gazza's book, and I can't remember for the life of me why this was given to him, but the Pope gave him like an award, or it was kind of like a medallion, or it was something of a lot of value, and he doesn't exactly hand these things out. And Gascoigne said that when he received it, he knew what he was like, and he crapped himself going, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose this, I'm going to break it, I'm going to probably eat it or something. So he got on the phone to Jimmy Fivebellies, his long, very famous friend, or infamous friend, depending on how you look at it, and he said, Fivebellies, get over here, because he was still in England. He said, get over here, and I'll pay for your flight, obviously, and take this from me and take it back to England so it's safe. I don't know why, giving it to Fivebellies back.
A trustworthy courier.
Yeah. And Jimmy wouldn't believe him that he'd been given such a thing, and Gazza had to try and convince him, and he was so annoyed at Fivebellies for not believing him that when he booked his plane, Jimmy turned up at the airport and he'd booked a flight from Newcastle to Madrid. Then Madrid to Hamburg, then Paris, then to Berlin, then he took him all over Europe to get there with loads of, and he said it was one of his favourite pranks. He said he used to do it all the time to me, because he'd say to people, yeah, I'll book your flight, you're on this flight. So they turn up at the airport and look, and he said the most elaborate one he did was he sent them to like Southeast Asia, to Italy. So you imagine turning up at the airport, I'm off to see Paul in Rome, yeah. What's it, Singapore? Oh.
That's terrorism nowadays.
Yeah. But he loved the lifestyle in Italy, he said, and he loved his time there. But unfortunately, because of injury, it just never quite happened there. But he did have spells, and as you say, Pete, he was dearly loved by those Lazio supporters.
He still is. He still is now. Yeah,
very much so. Of course, after Lazio, he signed for Glasgow Rangers in the summer of '95 for around 4.3 million, and he made an immediate impact there. And in his fifth league game,
in more ways than one.
Well, absolutely. In his fifth league game of the season, it was the Old Firm match against Celtic at Celtic Park, and he scored a goal to win the match 2-0, I think it was. But before the match, he said he was so nervous, and he experienced nothing like the build-up, the tension and the atmosphere of an Old Firm derby, that before the game...
this is the man who scored the equaliser in the Rome derby.
Exactly. He's played in a North London derby in the semi-final of the FA Cup. He said he'd never experienced anything like it, and he went... he quickly nipped to the bar and had a large one.
Did he?
Yeah, he nipped
a loosener.
Yeah, that's right, and he said it settled him down, and he said if Walter Smith knew that, he would have just gone mental.
He does now, I expect.
Well, Walter Smith actually kind of... to an extent, obviously, as much as you can curb his behaviour.
He was a bit of a father figure to him.
He was a father figure to him, absolutely.
Because when he went to play with him under Everton, didn't he, as well?
He did, yeah, a bit later.
It was a very odd choice, Gazza, even going to Rangers.
But it worked out, though, it really did, because I think Smith knew the baggage that came with signing Gascoigne, but he was confident he could do it, and he really got him playing there.
Yeah.
And, once the night before a Rangers game... Gazza had just a couple of pints, and he said to, Walter Smith said to him, "What would you do last night?" I said, "Nothing, just had a couple of pints and that." "Right, you're not playing today."
Oh, really?
Dropped him, bang, straight away, yeah. So yeah.
Zero tolerance.
Very much so. And that season, Rangers went on to win the league and they clinched the title. Right at the end of the season, I think it was the second to last game against Aberdeen, and Rangers went 1-0 down, and it was a bit of a Beckham versus Greece kind of performance, where he was the team.
Yeah.
He scored a hat-trick, and Rangers won 3-1, and his second goal, I can remember watching this, he picked it up just inside his own half, and it was about the 80th minute, and so I think Celtic were winning, and it was going in, and Rangers really needed to win that game to win the league. If a draw would have put Celtic in pole position going into the last day or something like that, I can't remember, but they needed to win, and he just picked it up and he just drove, and it was such a hot day as well, and he just burst through that defence and slotted home, and just mental, and then scored a penalty.
I can remember I didn't see him an awful lot of Rangers, but I did see him a few times, and I remember just sort of thinking to myself, even at the time, he could just do this at will in Scotland. He's no disrespect to Scottish football, and Gascoigne is rightly loved there at Rangers for obvious reasons, but he genuinely was a cut above, and he could do it whenever he wanted. It's sort of like you put on the old computer game or whatever, and you sit on the easy setting and you're brilliant because they're so rubbish. It's like that, and not because they weren't very good, and obviously you've got top professional footballers there, not the very top, but still good players, and Gascoigne just flew past them all the time.
He was stronger then, I think.
Oh, of course he was,
He could have been playing. He could have been happily playing top-flight English football.
And he arguably should have been as well.
But he was so happy there, and it fitted so well. And I was fortunate enough to see him in the flesh play, know. But Rangers won the league, they won the Scottish Cup that year, and Gazza, in his first season there, he's won the Players' Player of the Year and the Football Writers' Player of the Year. And they won the league again in 96, 97, and the League Cup as well the following season. But this was all the time when Euro 96 happened. And of course he was playing for Rangers when they played against Scotland, and I remember Andy Gorham saying, he was the Rangers and Scotland goalkeeper at the time, he said before the tournament, he said, we just hope, well obviously they want to beat England, but we just hope that we one of the main reasons why we want to beat them is Gazza will be so obnoxious if they win. And not only did they win, he produced a sublime piece of skill.
One of the best goals I've ever seen.
To score.
Colin Hendry.
Colin Hendry.
And what a player Colin Hendry was as well. That's no mean
he would have turned anyone inside out.
Colin Hendry won the Premiership with Blackburn. But he was great in that tournament, and I mean that is one of my favourite moments in football. The fact that with Gazza doing that, and then it's a celebration as well. The old dentist chair when he lay on his back and they squirted the water. It was just superb.
We had our own little tribute to that earlier. Luke poured loads of bits of like chocolate Rice Krispie cake down my face.
I actually called it the dentist chair as well.
You did?
Yeah, in honour.
There you go.
I didn't even know we were doing this, but I did it anyway. Strangely prophetic and pathetic.
When he was up in Scotland, there was a documentary team followed him around, because he lived in a hotel in Scotland for a while, I think.
I smell a sitcom.
It's a bit Partridge.
And they were following him around the streets, and he took them to a little Scottish cottage along the streets, and he said, I've forgotten my key, hang on a minute, and he knocked on the door, pretending he'd lost his key, and the door opened, and it was just the housewife in there, and he went, do you wash with Daz Ultra? And she just and slammed the door, and he's just having a stitch.
The man is relentless.
Oh dear. But there was also a story about him and his one of his showbiz pals, famously Chris Evans, and they were driving up to where Gazza was staying in this hotel, and it was right on a beautiful loch up in Scotland, and as they were driving up there, I think Chris Evans in the car, they'd swapped their car, they'd stopped at the side of the road and they went, look at us in this like BMW, you know, two poor kids with nothing, and now look at us. They went,